So, when the world's biggest band, BTS, finally makes their return in 2026, it's not just going to be a comeback. Nope, we're talking about a full-blown global economic event. We're about to dive into this massive phenomenon that experts are calling BTomics.
I mean, seriously, think about it. Can one band really move an entire country's economy? It sounds kind of crazy, right? But with BTS, the data is just undeniable. We're not talking about just selling a few albums here. We are talking about a cultural force so powerful it can actually shift a nation's GDP.
All right, let's get into the numbers because they are just staggering. Check this out. The Korea Culture and Tourism Institute did the math, and they figured that just one BTS concert in South Korea brings in about 1.22 trillion won. What does that even mean? Well, that's over 840 million US dollars from a single show. Wild.
Okay, but that's just one concert. Let's zoom out a bit. The Bank of Korea connects $5 billion in exports every year directly to BTS. And we're not just talking about music. This is everything. Cosmetics, food, fashion, you name it. It's a whole ecosystem of products that are basically riding this huge wave of their global influence.
And if you think that's impressive, this next number might just be the most mind-blowing of all. Analysts are predicting that when the group gets back together in 2026, their activities could boost South Korea's entire GDP by 0.5%. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the kind of impact you'd expect from a massive corporation, not a band. So, this brings us to the big question. What exactly is BTSnomics? And let me tell you, this is not just some catchy fan term. Oh no, it's a real economic concept that financial institutions all over the world are actually studying.
Basically, BTSnomics is all about this incredible ripple effect. It's what happens when a cultural phenomenon gets so big that it creates what economists call a demand shock. Think about it. Wherever they go, tourism booms, stores sell out, exports spike. Your standard economic models for a concert, they just don't even begin to cover this.
And you know what's really fascinating? You have all these different independent institutions trying to put a number on this. You've got the Culture and Tourism Institute looking at just one concert, then the Hyundai Research Institute is looking at their yearly value, and of course, the Bank of Korea is tracking exports. They're all using different tools, different methods, but they all come back with the same answer. The scale of this thing is in the billions. Consistently.
And this isn't just something people are talking about in South Korea. Not at all. The international media is all over it. The Guardian actually called their tour a mega event that could literally paralyze the economies of cities in North America. They even said it could have a bigger impact than Taylor Swift's Eras tour, and we all know how huge that was.
Okay, so if they're this massive economic force, you have to be asking, why on earth did they just disappear for a few years? Well, to really get the comeback, we first have to understand the hiatus, and it all comes down to a fundamental civic duty.
You see, in South Korea, there's mandatory military service. It's a legal requirement for all able-bodied men, and it stems from very real, ongoing national security issues. Now, getting an exemption is incredibly rare, and after a lot of public debate, the members of BTS did what was required of them and fulfilled their duty.
And it wasn't an all-at-once thing. The whole process was staggered over almost 3 years. It started with Jin back in late 2022, and it won't wrap up until mid-2025. If anything, this super long hiatus has just poured gasoline on the fire of global anticipation for their reunion.
So, when they do finally come back, it's not going to be with just a new song. No way. It's being planned as this huge, multi-platform global event, and it's all built around one central theme, ARIRANG. The blueprint for this comeback is pretty epic. It's got 4 main parts. First, a brand new studio album. Then, the biggest world tour in the history of K-pop. Add to that a Netflix special streaming to the entire world, and to top it all off, an immersive project called BTS The City that's literally going to transform parts of Seoul. The album itself is called ARIRANG, which is named after Korea's most famous, most beloved folk song. It's all about them returning to their roots. Their label, Big Hit Music, said it perfectly. It's a heartfelt expression of gratitude to ARMY, who remained by their side with unwavering support. Now, the kickoff event for this whole thing, it's designed to perfectly mix their modern-day superstardom with this really deep-rooted Korean heritage. And the place they chose to do it, it's absolutely unprecedented. They're holding their comeback show at Gwanghwamun Square. This is basically the historical and political heart of the entire nation. And get this, It is the very first time a single musical act has ever been given permission to hold a concert there. And they're expecting over 100,000 people to show up.
And the symbolism here? I mean, you can't miss it. Their performance route is literally being called the Path of a King. They're starting inside the Gyeongbokgung Palace, walking down the central path that was historically only for the emperor, and then emerging onto that main stage. It's a statement, and it's a powerful one. The kings of K-pop are finally home.
You know, a comeback like this really cements BTS's role as something much more than just musicians. They are, arguably, South Korea's single greatest cultural export. They're a huge driver of what's called soft power, the ability to influence other countries through culture and appeal, not through force.
Just look at this stat. A survey that went out to 69 countries found that an incredible 93% of international BTS fans have tried to learn the Korean language. 93%. That is a level of cultural influence that very, very few artists in history have ever even come close to.
So how are they all learning? Well, overwhelmingly, it's through digital media. The vast majority are just watching online videos and diving straight into K-pop content. And what that does is create this amazing, self-sustaining loop of cultural and language interest.
And it's not just the fans who see this impact. The South Korean government absolutely does too. In fact, a national survey officially named BTS as the single most influential figure when it comes to positively shaping the country's image around the world.
Which, it leaves us with this really fascinating final thought. For centuries, global power, global influence, that was the game of corporations and politicians. But when a band can actually boost GDP, drive tourism on a massive scale, and get millions of people to learn a new language, it really makes you stop and ask, what does the future of soft power even look like?